Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Neocortex, the master control center of the human brain and the human body. Divyank, the walking, talking encyclopedia. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My greatest discovery, Divyank, the divine design of nature with which the perfect objects are designed and created. Divyank is the reward of 60 years of integrated education. Let's start with classification of the human brain to understand neocortex. This picture is a repetition of what I've shown in the last. The highlight of this particular thing is not about the detailed structure of the brain. It's only to talk of the cerebral cortex or the neocortex. It is normally written in medical books. There are only 8 lobes: 2 motor cortex, 2 parietal lobes, 2 occipital lobes, and 2 temporal lobes. But according to Divyank, there should be 10. So discovery has taken me to insular cortex pair to make it 10. And if 3 are sensory in cortex, which are the posterior side of the brain, motor cortex is the front. In between the motor and this is the autonomic nervous system, and central autonomic nervous system is directly and indirectly associated with insular cortex. So this information is absolutely essential to understand how our nervous system controls the entire body: subconscious, unconscious, conscious, and superconscious. And here the focus will be more on superconscious approach rather than unconscious, subconscious, and conscious alone. Same classifications you can see in this particular picture is also a repetition which I have done earlier to show. This is a picture drawn by me. You see the motor cortex in front, parietal, temporal, and occipital side, and right in the middle you can see insular cortex. And I have also spoken about basal ganglion, limbic system as in the classification last, thalamus, hypothalamus, then midbrain, pons, medulla, and cerebellum. As a result, these are the most important parts of the brain which play important roles. But here we are going to concentrate more on the neocortex aspect. These cortical areas are Brodmann. He classified different areas of the brain and gave them the numbers. And in this particular picture, you can see the central circus in front portion is colored red, which is motor cortex. In between, soon behind central cortex, you have area 1, 2, and 3, and 5, which are primary somatosensory cortex. That means this portion, post-central, it is sensory, pre-central, it is motor. And 4, 5, 4, 6, 8, 44, 45, 47, 11 are in the frontal part, and those areas what they control have been highlighted there. Beside motor, frontal eye field is also equally important. Working memory for spatial orientation is important. Execution of tasks by basal ganglion is important. Broca's area is associated with speech, which is on the left side of the brain, not on the right side. Then working memory of object recall tasks is with 47. And then also solving multitask problems is also in frontal. So you can literally say it's like a CPU with higher capacity. And then you have prefrontal cortex. So anterior part, motor, then you have central circus, then somatosensory, which is primarily about touch sensation, other sensation from the body. And then you have visual cortex, you have temporal cortex, as well as insular cortex. You can see cerebellum down, and those areas have been marked. As you can see, primary cortex 1, 2, 3, 5, somatosensory, associated areas, and gustatory cortex, which is the taste, is number 43. Wernicke's area is the one which is associated with the language understanding, and then general protection, interpretations about language and different subject is also very close to auditory complex or temporal region. Then you have visual cortex, which is 17, 18, and 19 are the primary, secondary, and associated areas of vision. So you can quote in quote say you have a primary areas, you have secondary areas, you have associated areas. And once you understand the entire thing, then you understand cortex, and particularly neocortex plays very, very important role in making us the greatest creature in the world. Human brain is the most evolved, and as a result, we are the greatest creation of the nature itself. Now, what makes human beings great? I have over and over explained, but here I have tried to classify the picture which I have drawn to show that outer layers of neocortex have been well defined in my picture with pencil sketch. And same thing, you can 7 layers of human cortex. You can see one molecular layer, the outermost, second external granular layer, third external pyramidal cells. These three are normally not activated much, but there are connections in between which help in coordination between left side of the brain and right side of the brain on higher functions. So these three are primarily about higher function, coordination left side of the brain, right side of the brain, and as I have made it clear over and over, activation, awakening, integration of these 3 layers with the rest of the nervous system and the body would act as an antenna to Akash Kosh. As a result, we can get all the ancient Indian wisdom. At the same time, all the events of past, present, and future directly from Akash Kosh. Ionosphere layer, Schumann, that picture I have already shown, so let's not waste time on that. Then you have internal granular layer, internal pyramidal, multiform cell layer, and white matter. Now, as a result, you can see the integration between pictures and then see how these pictures actually help you understand things better. So, 7 layers of neocortex make the human being great, and these 7 layers are not found in other animals at all. Only human beings have it, and most of the human beings use only up to 4th layer, sensory up to 4th layer, and motor from there. Outer 3 you don't, and if once you are able to activate this, you become very intuitive person. Now, this picture is something which I want to show. Prefrontal is motor in nature, you can see on the right side, marked right, and post-central is a sensory marked with blue or gray. Different areas of the body are represented in this particular picture. If you look at very clearly, you can see entire body, sensory component on the left side and motor component which are associated with that neocortex on is very well explained in this particular picture. So I don't think anyone should have any doubt about this picture. Is well known, accepted all over the world that is a genuine good work done. But I have something extra to talk. Now look at this particular picture. Is a human being, a skeleton of human being. You can see the whole thing can be divided into 2 components, from sole of the feet right up to tailbone, which is the lower legs, is 50%, and from tail to the head is another 50%. But of course, from sole to the navel is 61.803%, and navel to head is 38 point. So Divyank on one side, and this 25, 25, 25, 25 on other side is how beautifully the design is. But can you imagine what? Can you think why I'm showing this particular picture at this particular juncture when we are talking of neocortex? Any guesses? No? Anyway, let's see. I have brought a picture of a man meditating right in the middle in place of the brain which was showing the motor and this country. Now, I have written the divine design of human cortex is there, and now you can see. Now can you imagine why I'm doing this particular picture? Why are legs folded during meditation, or we sit in Padmasana for doing yoga or Akhand Yoga? Why? Because legs represent lower consciousness. They also represent 7 layers of earth element. The outer layer of earth is called Atal Lok, and innermost layer is called Patal Lok. 7 layers of earth are represented in the human body in the form of lower extremities. And these lower extremities should be folded for meditation because they are not going to perceive anything other than just vibrations of the earth. But when we are looking at Kundalini Yoga, a Chakral Yoga, or Akhand Yoga, we are looking at improving the consciousness of our body to be in tune with nature. And at this juncture, let me tell you, chakras, they normally say 7 chakras, which are not associated with the body. It is with this, that's what they say. But I know from my experience, there are 10 plus chakras in the body. They are associated with endocrine glands, autonomic nervous system, and the nervous system by and large. So at the same time, let me also tell you, each chakra has got 2 concepts. Posterior side is called Gyan Indriya or Gyan chakras. That means they are associated with sensory cortex. And the sensory part of the spinal cord have chakras which sees the sensations by and large. And the front you have motor chakras or karma chakras, which center around the actions of the body. So you have back as well as front. The back chakras are associated with ganglion, dorsal root ganglion in the spinal cord and the brain, and associated with the ascending sensory tract. So I'm sure this picture clear. This is right from tailbone, the pelvic region, then to sacral, to the lumbar, to the celiac plexus, to the heart, to the cervical, to the higher chakras. Ascending tract, as it moves up, will be chakras which are responsible for Gyan. They would be activated first. So Kundalini would rise through that to the top of the head and then come down through the front chakras to the motor cortex. But since there are no chakras responsible for lower extremities, so we need to fold these necklaces so that we don't waste, and instead of standing and doing meditation or doing things like that, I think Akhand Yoga is very clear. Okay, we should sit in Padmasana comfortably. Based on that, feel the vibrations of the earth to be very conducive to 0 to 3 hertz, and then focus only on this higher chakras, back and front, and take it up and go down. And that is the reality, and that is the reason why I wanted to show this particular picture. Extremities are represented within the 2 hemispheres. They are not extended to the outside. Is it a coincidence that ancient Indian people were quite aware that lower portions do not have higher evolution or higher consciousness? They are represented, and we should not waste much of time focus on that because you are not going to perceive anything. And sit in comfortable and bring that. I think the modern science, this particular picture, and the modern science experiences and my personal experience, which I have initial stages felt the tingling sensation in my soles and movement through that. But that was very initial stages. But after awakening in Muladhara chakra, feeling the crawling of ants and other things, and then feeling the movement going up step by step, I think I'm able to understand this picture much better. Now I can say this picture, which neuroscientists have drawn, is absolutely beautiful work. Now this brings the spiritual science together. Modern neuroscience on one side and spiritual ancient Indian wisdom of spirituality, Tantra Vidya, coming and saying they are two sides of the same coins. So I'm sure this was a golden opportunity for me to bring my experience and share my experience with a kind of wisdom which can be called impeccable wisdom. And Akhand Vidyashan's whole objective is to explain all those ancient wisdom in the light of modern sciences so that we have the proper theoretical knowledge and we can build on it to be in tune with divine nature, get all the impeccable wisdom and start rewriting books from school, college to the university so we don't have to unlearn and relearn anything. And that is the prime objective of Akhand Vidyasham. And I'm glad that I'm step by step sharing all my experience in the light of modern sciences with a graphic presentation which are much easier to understand than just words. And this also, let me tell you, that ancient Indian symbolic representation of yantra as gods and goddesses pictures were not figments of that. This is the greatest science, and I could understand that. Now I'm trying to show that Murti Puja, idol worship, or the gods and goddesses pictures are not imagination, not philosophy. They are pure science. If the people have not understood, it is their problem, not of the one who really made those pictures. And this particular picture is taken from Kalyan, which I saw as a child more than 70 years ago. And I'm using it because I found this picture drawn 70 years back in Kalyan of Gita publications. Beautiful, Gorakhpur. Anyway, now from that point of view, now let me talk of this particular picture in continuation of what I have spoken so far. Right at the bottom, you can see red color, that is Mooladhara Chakra. But in this picture, you do not see the lower legs at all. The whole chakras, nadis, start only from Mooladhara. Then you have Ida and Pingla, and you have Sushmana. Sushmana can be related to vertebral column, whereas Ida and Pingla could be two sympathetic kind or left hand side. You can also say there are chakras, backside chakras are one, front are another thing. Those two also could be represented in the form of Ida and Pingla. Let's not confuse the people. Let me tell you, this particular 10 plus chakras you can see in the middle have representation in front as well as back. Back are knowledge oriented, are Gyan, and front are action oriented, are manifestations, are Karamindri. Now, in the picture you can see how things are coming. Now, let's forget about chakras. Now let's bring Antaratma or soul in consciousness. Now, if any person who is able to bring soul within the central canal or Brahmanadi and take it to ventricles or Vaikunt within the brain, as you can see that bluish color right at the top within the head, and it's able to activate from inside, you can see the integration of the entire brain. Now, when you have an experience of Antaryog, this coming up, that is the time when you literally start experiencing tingling sensation in the soles, and then you see the movement of the legs going up, and then only will reach Mooladhara Chakra, and then you will experience rising up. But if you experience Antaryog, which is 10th stage of Akhand Yoga, you will definitely have much better experience of tingling of sensation in souls, and soul will start contracting by itself, and then as a result you'll find calf muscles literally act as second heart for a person who is actually Akhand Yogi. And in those cases, the contraction of the soles and calf muscles to push the energy right up to Muladhara chakra and then going up, which is also responsible to activate all the 7 layers of neocortex, particularly third, second, and first, much better throughout the brain. As a result, you can produce alpha frequency of 8 Hz throughout the brain with eyes open, eyes closed. And this is again the space, I would say, science and spirituality are coming closer and they're becoming spiritual science. And my experience has been with the awakening of Kundalini and going into the Antaryog within the Brahmanadi to Vaikunt. I have experienced all the thunders, all the experience which I've already explained during my earlier videos. And from there, experience a tingling or movement of souls, and then automatically there was contraction of the, what is, you can say, calf muscles of my both the legs, and then how the energy started moving up, and that increased the ojas, then increased the tejas, and that what is superconscious or higher form of energy which Akhand Yoga produces to produce alpha frequency through it. Even my EEGs, the power shown in the EEG was much better than expected by even the neuroscientists. Whatever design they had made to have up to 1000, but mine would shoot up to 1500, 2000, even more than that. You could see only the part, the tip of alpha frequency was out of the graph itself. And now I can understand, and now I'm trying to explain this in light of modern sciences so that people can understand. And having a proper theoretical knowledge, when they have the experience of Kundalini awakening with the power it has, all the music, thunder which requires, they'll not be scared because they know very well it's moving up without any block, and you could have absolutely no problem. At the end of the experience, you're going to experience blissfulness or Satchita Anand, provided you are not scared and your physical body is perfectly healthy. You have made sure that your food is perfectly sattvic, your thoughts are sattvic, your actions are sattvic, you are behaving like a perfect human being who is interested in everybody's interest, want to do everything good for everybody. If that intention is clear in the mind of a yogi, he could be a Akhand yogi, and such a person can be in tune with divine nature completely. And I'm glad I have been able to now explain that with the guide of modern sciences. So I think it has been lovely sharing my experience of awakening of 3 outer layers of neocortex, and now bringing this picture very clear step by step so that you can understand, provided you are listening to this carefully and have a proper theoretical knowledge. Then learn to make your physical body perfectly healthy. Then have knowledge of almost all the subjects. Then do all the possible actions and be the master of all the 64 arts and sciences. And then you could also become like me, and we can also go beyond. There are many more layers higher. We will talk later as we come. But up to this stage, I think Akhand Yoga, this is more than enough. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. I think it's been joy for me to share my experience in the light of modern sciences for the love of it, and leave behind the legacy as a walking, talking encyclopedia of spiritual science. I'm not talking of encyclopedia of other subjects where human beings are not. My concern is only us, human beings. Let's forget about philosophy. Let's forget about the external world. Let's think of our own self so that we could be perfect human beings. So thank you very much. It's been lovely talking to you.